Hey guys, it's Nicole the Notary, and I am here with you today, coming to you once again from Northern Virginia, and I have a topic for you. So today is all about the Notice of Right to Cancel. The Notice of Right to Cancel is historically one of the most errored documents by notaries. And when they say by notaries, we mean by our borrowers and signers. So we are responsible for what they turn in. We're responsible for catching things. And this apparently is one of the bad ones that people always get wrong. So today I've got a couple of tricks for you. And I want to show you my methodology for a worry-free NORTC. All right, so let's cue the intro. We can get it started. All right, guys, so today we're going to do something a little bit different. It is definitely going to be presentation day. So I'm going to do a short presentation for you just to give you kind of like an overview to set the tone. And then we're actually going to take a look at a few of the NORTCs that I have available to me right now. And then I'm going to walk you through how I do my presentment of the documentation, or of this particular document, how I present my Notice of Right to Cancel to my customers. So I'll give you my tips and tricks. All of that will be at the end. So stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that I know you want more content like this. All right, guys, here we go. All right, guys, so today we are going through the worry-free NORTC brought to you by a good notary of Northern Virginia. This is going to be your guide to understanding and presenting the Notice of Right to Cancel. Okay. And before we move any further, I'm going to just go ahead and toss this out here. This is what we're calling an APD, also known as an all-purpose disclaimer. I am not a lawyer and do not offer legal advice. Dear listener, dear watcher, I am not a lawyer or an attorney, nor do I purport to give you legal advice. I'm relaying public information that you can search for yourself on Google, but just by typing in any of the terms here. I'm also not giving you advice. During today's presentation, I am going to show you how and why I present my NORTC and provide you with some information that is also available on Google. Okay, so that's what our presentation is going to be today. Again, this is an APD, an all-purpose disclaimer. I am not a lawyer and do not offer legal advice to you or anyone else ever. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, so what is a Notice of Right to Cancel? The Notice of Right to Cancel, also known as the NORTC, is the borrower's right to rescind or cancel their requested mortgage contract. So you have a contract in place because they're signing documents. That's an agreement, also known as a contract. That contract can be terminated. The right to cancel is formally known as the right of rescission. Rescission is a word that means cancel. This is a federal protection that is afforded to borrowers and is covered as a part of TILA. TILA is the Truth in Lending Act. Let's get serious for a minute here. If you are a notary signing agent and you do not know what TILA is, you need to get to your quick, most convenient trainer for you and just absorb them for a while. You really need to understand that if you are going to be a notary signing agent, as it's one of the most critical things in our business. It's intended to protect against inaccurate and unfair credit billing and credit card practices. You can go on Google and review this if you like. You can learn all about the NORTC, like it's out there. So the information is available to you. If you've taken the NNA training, if you've taken Mark's training, if you've taken Bill's training, Sign and Thrive, so Loan Signing System, Sign and Thrive, any of those, they have all about this. So like you have the information available to you if you're in one of those groups. If not, I'm sure if you have signed up for any reputable training, they also will be teaching you about this. So I have not heard of anybody who doesn't go over this, specifically the notice of right to cancel, because it's a critical doc. All right. So the last thing, important thing to know here is that lenders must give borrowers a notice advising them of their right to rescission. So this isn't optional. If it's required for the type of loan that they're getting or the type of engagement transaction that they're having, then that has to be included in that particular type. We'll go over that more in a second. Okay. So those are the three things you need to know. It's a federal law. It's called the right to rescind or the right to cancel, and they must give them a notice. Okay, so where will you see it? Well, you're going to see this in your refinances. So anybody who's signed any mortgages or loan closings in 2020, you have done refinances. Just anybody. If you're just getting started in 2021, you may not have, but you will. The refinances were extremely heavy in 2020. You're also going to see it in HELOCs. That's a home equity line of credits. And you're also going to see it in home equity loans, okay? Where will you not see it? You will not see it in home purchases. You will not see it in an investment property, and you will not see it on a second home mortgage. So a mortgage yeah, so you're not going to see it on the second home. You're also not going to see it in a seller package, and I think that I didn't need to put that there, but if you're selling a home, obviously you don't get the right to cancel that. So that's actually a good point. If you choose to sell your home, then that's it. So, you know, it's up for grabs. That's it. There's nothing that I'm aware of that is like the notice of right to cancel for that. Okay. Note that it is a critical doc. So when your signing agency or title company or mortgage company is asking you to return docs and they say just return all the critical ones, this is one of those, okay? So they do need that back. Okay, so this is how it works from a loan signing agent perspective or a notary signing agent perspective, whatever you may be calling yourself today. You're going to find the NORTCs in the packets, and I say packets, and I'll tell you why in a second. You're going to describe the document to the customer, and this is going to be your version of description, so however you describe that. Notice I did not say explain. You are describing this document. I'm going to give you a deeper dive into the document today just so that you kind of understand it, but you know, we don't do explanations. We do a high-level description. On this one, it's probably the most in-depth document that you get into, maybe besides the closing disclosure, because you do have instructions that you have to give them, okay? On this one, you also verify your dates. You're going to verify that the date for today is correct. You're also going to verify that the dates that they have to rescind are correct. So their final drop dead date, that is accurate. And then you're going to have them sign an acceptance. And then once again, please note, this is a critical doc. All right, so important things to remember. I'm going to turn this off so you can see it. But some important things to remember here. Step number one, collect copies. So you collect the borrower's copies and you collect the package copies. So we always provide 2 copies. We always take 2 copies of all the documents with us to our loan signings. And that is so that we get a copy and we take that back and send it off via, you know, our shipping provider to either FedEx or UPS or wherever. And then the borrowers get to keep one. So that is industry standard. That's not really something that you as a notary get to decide whether or not that happens. That is usually what's required. Sometimes there's even more copies. Like this weekend I had 3 that needed 3 copies of everything. And it was just like, really? Yeah, really. And then, so you collect those all the copies, and I do go into the borrower's copies and pull out their versions of the notice of right to cancel and put them all into the signed copies. That way all copies have been signed and there is no chance at all that there's some kind of random document out there that can be altered after I leave their site. And then you present the directions for the document for how to do it. Okay, so all of that is step number 1. Step number 2 is verifying the date. So you are going to use the rescission calendar to confirm that the date is accurate. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the rescission calendar. I don't know if I have a rescission calendar prepared to review today, but I'm going to show it to you. Step 3 is be sure to tell your borrowers to avoid signing in the box or to avoid signing where it says, I wish to cancel, okay? So we're going to look at this in a second so that you understand what that means, okay? Once again, note that it is a critical doc. All right. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so we've got, I've got some mock-ups here for you of notice of right to cancel that I have come across. There are various versions of this. So I have 2 versions. I'm going to show you those really quickly. And then I'm going to talk to you about what's actually inside this document. So my understanding of it, okay? All right, so, oops. Let's turn that back on. Okay, so let's close out of that. Yeah, okay, so we're up. All right, so this is a notice of right to cancel. This is one of the ones that I received at some point this week. I went ahead and redacted it so that you can see it. I have 2 copies of this so that you can see what they look like. So this is the first one. This is the notice of right to cancel, and I'll go back through this in a second, but I want you to see this is the version that does not have the square box. Okay, so when I say square box, like on some of these, there's going to be a square box around the part where they need to update if they are going to cancel. Okay, so this one, the I wish to cancel, is right here. And then way down here, you have the borrower's name where they would sign the day that you actually present it to them just to accept it. Okay, I'll come back through and we'll go through this in a second. But I wanted to, oops. Okay, there we go. Okay, and so this is the other one. So notice like this one's different. It does have that little box here. It makes it a little bit clearer for them where they need to actually sign. There are other versions of this. So some versions, and I was hoping that I would get one this week, but I didn't come across it. So there are some versions where you have a notice of right to cancel and this whole verbiage here is on one page, and they cut it off here and then have you sign on a second page. Which to me, that's like begging so much more for someone to mess it up because there's one signature on one page and then another signature on another page. And if you as a notary signing agent are not on top of them, then they will go to that first page and just sign because they see their name or they see the signature block and they're used to it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the other one here, but here on this one, so like you have the I wish to cancel here, this is where they would sign if they wanted to cancel, and then down here you have the borrower's signature where they would sign in agreement to actually just receive the cancellation right. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this one. So I want to give you some insight into what it is that this actually means, okay? So the notice of right to cancel gives the borrower 3 days from the date of whichever one of these happens to cancel their transaction. So it's just like a lemon law. With a lemon law, if you got a car home and, you know, in 3 days, like the transmission fell out while you were on the highway or something like that, you could take it back, okay, and say, this is a lemon, I don't want this. Similarly, our borrowers don't have to don't have to be strapped to this contractual agreement with the mortgage companies or title companies. They can back out. They have 3 days, and that's a federal law. So note previously when I said it's a federal protection, it is a federal law. It's not state. You're not going to have any differences based on what state that this is done, and this is federal. So the 3 days starts whenever the last of these 3 events occurs. So if you look at this, number 1, 2, and 3. So the date of the transaction. So as a notary signing agent, one of the things you're checking is to make sure that the date of the transaction is today, whatever day that today is when you're watching this. If you're looking at your NORTCs, that day should be today. In addition to that, you receive your truth in lending disclosures. So did they receive their TILA disclosures? If they have not received them, then the notice of right to cancel doesn't start until they do. Secondarily, or the third item is you receive this notice of right to cancel. So this notice of right to cancel has to be given to them. If you walk away from a signing and you take your notice of right to cancels with them, guess what? This loan's not getting funded until that customer gets their notice of right to cancel. And that's that. Like that's it. Like you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. They're not getting it. And disbursement doesn't happen until these 3 days have passed. So you have to be very, very cognizant about doing this, making sure they get a copy, and then returning a copy so that everybody has a copy, which is why I like to sign. And I think I picked this up from Laura Buer, but I do also sign all of the notice of right to cancels in the packet. So there will be my set, which is going back with me, and then there's the borrower set. I pull all the copies. Side notes on this. So sometimes your packet's going to have 2, right? So let's say it's an individual signer and it's a paper conscious company. They will put in 1 for the borrower, 1 for you, and that's it. And so there's just the 1 or the 2. So there will be 4 total. So there will be 2 in your main packet and 2 in the borrower's packet for a total of 4. Other times there are 3. Typically, you're going to see 3. And what that usually means is 1 goes back to the company, 2 stay with the borrower. Okay? If you have multiple signers and they've not, sometimes individuals can have their own notice of right to cancel. So let's say that you have a couple. So you've got a set of spouses, all right? And there's a husband and a wife. The husband may have his 3. She may have her 3, okay? In addition to that, I've seen them where you have the 2 signature lines here. So down here at the bottom, instead of it just saying 1 borrower line, there's 2 borrower lines, or it'll say co-borrower and then the date. It just depends on the company and how they set up their versions of this. So I haven't found any rhyme or reason to it. But like I said, in addition to that, you also have the versions of this that have 2 pages. So there's just this page with all the writing on it, and then the second page will be signature block. Like, I hate those so bad because it's a waste of paper, 1, and it complicates things unnecessarily. So like I said, recapping what I just said, I pull all of the copies from the borrower set of their notice of right to cancels and put them into my packet and then present them as 1 unit. All right. And I do that before I get to the signing. That is literally the only thing that I may do to prep for a signing is that piece. And I will do that right at the table if I have not had a chance to do it. Like, let's say I got docs like super late, I will do that. That's the first thing I do at the table. But I also have a special way that I present mine, so I'm going to go over that with you at the end. All right, So let's talk some more about this. So we went over the 3 things. This is very critical up here. So 3 business days. So I'm not going to go over the right of rescission and how to calculate that. That is not what the purpose of today's training is. You can get that training from someone else. And in fact, you should get that training from your trainer. There are 3 business days for them to cancel. So today does not count. Whatever today is doesn't count in the right of rescission. All right, it's always the next business day. Okay, so like looking at this one, if I look at my calendar, the 7th, the 7th was on Wednesday. The calendar would have started Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that goes Thursday the 8th, Friday the 9th, Saturday the 10th, and we're talking April 2021, okay? So that's how rescission works. Saturday is counted as a business day for the purposes of the notice of right to cancel, and holidays and Sundays are not counted. So down here on this one, which is really good, like skip all the way down here since we're on this part of the conversation, this particular one actually lists out the holidays, right? And then down here, it also restates the date that the notice of right to cancel was received. So you've got all the holidays that could affect the timing of this notice of right to cancel, plus they've restated the date that you should have. Now, if you're making a correction on this type, then you're going to have to correct it up here at the top and down here to say what the actual signing date was. For example, if you were supposed to sign on Wednesday, but you ended up signing on Thursday for whatever reason, and your agencies or whatever were okay with that, your title and, lender were fine with that, then you would change this instead. And sometimes that's definitely one of those things where you want to call them and just confirm what should be where. It's always good that if you find it, to bring it to their attention so they know that an error was made somewhere. Okay. Now, so we are down to this part. So this part is about how to cancel. Again, I just put a little marker here that yes, you're going to be canceling by midnight of whatever the last day is. Now, if this day here is incorrect, so let's say that our signing was held on the 7th, but for some reason this says April 11th. If that's the case, you're going to want to have them update it. And them, I mean our customers, our clients, our signers, and borrowers. Make sure that they update that. And then you're going to have them initial it. Now, there's another version of this form out here somewhere, and it is void of the actual dates. So there are no dates included here. You have to actually have them fill the dates in, which means that you need to get very comfortable with your rescission calendar, and you're going to want to ensure that you know your dates kind of inside out, because you're the one who's going to be telling them how many days to put in there, okay? So I have never seen one of those, thankfully. I just don't like that. There. All right. All right, so I'm going to show you this some more. I think it's always important for you to understand what it is that we're looking at. So this is the other version of the notice of right to cancel. So here in yellow and pink, I have highlighted 2 of the statements that are here. I'll just kind of give you the heads up that this is a different notice of right to cancel. I think I said that before, but the 3 events that lead to the dates listed here, they're a little bit different than on the other one. But on this one, it actually calls out the rules about the notice of right to cancel. Now, this is not for you to describe or provide an explanation to the customer. They can read this on their own. You definitely don't want to read this to them during your session, for a few reasons. One, because you don't want you don't want to do that. That's just not what we do, right? So we don't explain the documents. And by reading, that's actually, to me, getting into the level of explanation. You don't want to do that. What I'm doing with you right now, you don't want to do that. Like, this is explanation, and I don't want you to confuse what I'm trying to give to you as knowledge with what you should be showing them at the table, because those are two different things, okay? So in yellow, you have the first statement. And so this kind of describes the cancellation mechanics, right? So if you cancel the transaction, the mortgage, lien, or security interest is also canceled. That would be the deed, right? So within 20 calendar days after we received your notice, we will take the steps to reflect the fact that the mortgage, lien, and security interest on your home has been canceled. And we must return to you any money or property you have given to us or to anyone else with connection to the transaction. So what that means is if your borrowers have provided cash to close, or if they've paid for anything else, then all that money is going to come back to them. In addition to that, the pink portion calls out further details that are really important. So this describes the process by which everything has to occur, right? So you may keep any money or property we have given you until we have done the things mentioned above. But you must then offer to return the money or property once we've done them, right? Okay, so that's a missing piece. If it is impractical or unfair for you to return the money, you must offer its reasonable value. Wow. You may offer to return the property at your home or at the location of the property. Money must be returned to the address below. If we do not take possession of the money or property within 20 calendar days of your offer, you may keep it without further obligation. So those last words, everything beyond that comma, you may keep it without further obligation, okay? So this starts off this whole chain of things that have to be done if they do choose to cancel, and this provides them with provides our customers and clients with the understanding of the process that has to take place in order for this to happen. This is why they must get this form, okay? All right, so then down here in this box it says how to cancel, all right? So written here it says, if you decide to cancel this transaction, you may do so by notifying us in writing at, and then they list out their information. So just a note on the information that gets listed out. I have seen addresses. You'll always see at least one address. And this isn't always formatted this way. Like sometimes this is like way over here on the right-hand bottom side instead of up here on the left-hand side where everybody else puts it. I don't know. There's a lot of different forms out there. But the customer must notify them in writing, okay, at the address listed. Sometimes there's also a fax number listed, and sometimes there's even an email address listed, and they will specifically say whether or not that contact method can be used to cancel, okay? You may use any written statement that is signed and dated by you and states your intention to cancel, or you may use this notice by dating and signing below. Keep a copy of this notice because it contains important information about your rights. Okay? Now, if you cancel by mail, you must send the notice no later than midnight of whatever day of rescission that you came up with, right? And then in parentheses it says, or midnight of the third business day following the latest of the 3 events above. Okay, If you send or deliver your written notice to cancel in some other way, it must be delivered to the above address no later than midnight of that day. Okay? All right, so there is a big sentence in bold with a period. Okay, so right here. You see this in bold, not proper case, because all the starting letters of the sentence are capitalized. But then there is a period. That is a very single sentence, and it's 4 words. I wish to cancel. Okay? Signature and date. That is where they cancel if they want to cancel. Okay? It is very hard when you are a borrower. You're seeing this for the first time. Maybe you're seeing it for like the second time in like 7 years, or maybe you do it all the time. At any rate, the borrowers do not understand that they see the word signature and they want to sign. All right, that is not where they sign. They come outside of the box. That's why I'm using the box as the example, because it's kind of hard to view on the other one. They come outside of that box, and then down below it says, the undersigned have acknowledged receipt of 2 copies of this notice of right to cancel and 1 copy of the truth in lending disclosures. Each borrower and owner in this transaction has the right to cancel. The exercise of this right by only one borrower shall be as effective as all borrowers and owners. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that if the husband and wife get in a fight and the wife is listed on the in ownership, right, of the property, so not necessarily a borrower, but she's an owner, she gets a notice of right to cancel and she decides that she wants to cancel the loan. She can do that. She can cancel it because she is a titled owner of the property. And now you know. Anyway, so they would sign. Now, some of these are going to have the signature blocks already imprinted. This happened to be for a single person. If you have married people, they're usually on top and bottom. Sometimes they go left or right. It just depends on the company and how they chose to print it that day. All right, so that's this. Let me make sure that we covered all the bases and everything that I wanted to cover here. Okay, so yeah, so remember it has to be sent to them by midnight of the 3rd business day. Now, the 3rd business day does not, or the business days don't start today. Like, so if we fill out a notice of right to cancel today, our dates don't start until tomorrow. Okay, so you get, that's day number 1. So that's why I have 0, 1, 2, 3 days here. So maybe that'll help you remember that it's not 1, 2, 3, it's 0. Today is 0, 1, 2, 3 days to cancel. All right, so I'm going to walk you through how I present the notice of right to cancel, and I'm just going to use oh my gosh, oh no, oops, hold on. Dang it. Okay, so I'm just going to use a random piece of paper, and I'm going to show you what I do. Okay, so like I said, I collect all the copies. And now I am somebody who I do not present this wherever it's sitting in the packet. I pull all the notice of right to cancels and I put them as the very last document. I found that for me, this works because it works with my personality. It prevents the customer from like crutching on this. Like, I want them to sign of their own free will. And I know a lot of people use this as a way to get the customer to sign documents, but to me, getting a customer to sign documents is somewhat coercion, and because I took an oath and they did too at the beginning, I don't do that. So what I do is I take the documents and I put them all to the very back. It's the very last document we go over. So by the time they get there, they are happy to be signing this very last thing. Most times it's the last thing in the packet, and they get it, you know, and it just kind of flows for me, for my signings. It flows better. So what I do is when we get there, I say, all right, guys, or, you know, depending on who's there, I just do not guys or yes, guys or whatever. But before we get there, I check the date. So the date on the top of the transaction has to be right. The date of the cancellation has to be right too. The last day of the right of rescission has to be correct too. So if those are not correct, then I already know that I'm going to have them make updates or corrections. Otherwise, I just go through this nearly verbatim to what I'm going to do now. So let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so this is what I say. So hey guys, so we have signed a lot of documents today. I want to let you know that you have been entered into a 30-year contract, a 30-year, 15-year, whatever, you know, the contract terms were. You've entered into a 30-year contract. You have a federal right to cancel that request for contract today. So you have 3 business days from today to cancel your loan. This is called your right of rescission. What you're going to do is, if you want to cancel this, you're going to come, and I point to the square where it says the address, and I point to the signature line inside the square that says I want to cancel. And I tell them, if you should like to cancel, you're going to find this document in your packet that I'm going to leave with you. You'll sign your name here and date it over here. Up here, you're going to take this and pop it in the mail and return it to the address here. So I'm pointing at the address, right? And you have to do that no later than, and then I point to the date, and let's say that, what was this, April 10th, by no later than April 10th at midnight, okay? So you have 3 business days to review and decide if you want to cancel. If you should want to cancel, that right expires 3 business days from now at midnight, okay? So if you want to cancel, then you have to pop this in the mail by no later than April 10th at midnight, okay? Today, what I need you to do is come all the way down, and I'm pointing, right? And so I'm using visual cues because you guys, people learn different, people understand and absorb different. So I'm doing audio cues, I'm doing visual cues so that they understand, right? So I say, if you should like to cancel, today, what I need you to do. So we already walked through the if you should like to cancel. If you should want to cancel part, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied, it's late. All right, but if you should want to cancel, we walked through that part already. So today, what I need you to do for me is come all the way down, 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 down at the bottom of the page where you see your name, outside of this box, down here at the bottom. And I literally make a show of this. By this time, I have developed a relationship with them. Like we are generally on pleasant terms. If not, then I'll adjust this a little bit, but they kind of need that perk up, you know, we're done. And so I just let them know, come all the way down here at the bottom, and you guys are going to sign here. All right. And so usually they're like, okay, so then I pass them their documents. All right. Most times though, honestly, like I will pass them their sets. So let's say it's a husband and a wife. I will pass them their sets and I'll hold on to one and I will ask them not to sign anything until I'm done. That way they're looking at me, they're focused at me, they are not focused on that document that they're about to mess up and sign because I had that happen. That's why I had to adjust the way that I do this. So this has worked for me every single time. Like I pass it to them and then have them, you know, I do the thing where I'm like, you know, coming way down here at the bottom of the page, and then I point to the bottom of the page, I point to the signatures line down here at the bottom, and I say, if it's there, I say sign outside of that box, okay? I love that box. That box is like the best thing ever. I do not like the ones that do not have the box on there because it makes it really hard not hard, but it makes it it's confusing for people when they're looking at the documents. I just wish they would reorganize this entire thing a little bit, but they aren't going to do that. So anyway, so that is how I present the notice of right to cancel to my borrowers. So usually it works, and then your job doesn't stop there, right? So you pass them all the sets, right? So let's say that there are 4 sets each, okay? So you pass them the 4 sets each. You, as a notary, you have nothing else to do at this point, because like I said, I pull these out. So they're at the back, they're the very last document that we're going to review. And I pull them out and I present them and I give them to them. At this point, my eyes are locked on radar at what they are doing. If you see them start to squiggle up there underneath I wish to cancel, no, Mr. No. you have to get their attention and force them to stop. Nope, outside that box, not there. And then with some borrowers, like, you'll know this, right? You always have that one. There is going to be the one guy, no matter how many times you tell him, sign your full name, sign here, check here, I need this, whatever you've requested of him, he messes it up. The dates, he puts the wrong day 10 times in a row, messes up 10 different documents, so you've had to give that to him over and over again. In that case, what I do is I prepare the documents one at a time. I'm going to give you each one of these and you're going to sign. Now, if they mess up, you are supposed to call the title company or the lender and let them know that the notice of right to cancel, signing company, and let them know that the notice of right to cancel has been incorrectly signed. Okay, I have not had to do that in months, but I do know that one time we did it. The lady decided that she wanted to cancel after that. Like, it wasn't that maybe she did it subconsciously, signed it subconsciously, but she did say, I wasn't planning on canceling this, but since I signed it, I think I want to. Let me think about it. So, at that point, I'm done. All right, cool. You do what you got to do. That's, your business. That's between you guys. But the signing companies or whoever gave you the packet, if you call them up, typically they're just going to say grab one from the borrower's packet and let it be done. That is why I just give them all of them anyway. They're all signed. And like I said, I got this from Laura. They're all signed anyway. So, everybody's got extras, okay? Because I'm putting extras in their packet that's going back. I'm putting extras in the packets that I'm leaving with them. So there's going to be at least one extra one for everybody. But all of them are signed, and they're signed today. There is no further action that can be taken on that other than signing I wish to cancel, because I visually watch them sign everything. Okay, what next? Oh, so then when they turn them back to you, so what I do is I look through and I take the best of the best, and I always tell them, like, I'm doing a little bit of magic here, and I'm going to magically take out all the ones that are terrible and put them in your packet, and then take the good ones with me. And I just kind of laugh it off. Like I said, I'm a little goofy sometimes, but most of the time they appreciate that kind of thing. Just kind of, it keeps it, we have a fun signing. It's not some kind of like, it's not an SAT exam. Like, it's not just some kind of, like, it's just not, it's a signing, and sometimes it can be very serious. It just depends on the borrowers. You have to take your cue from the people who are in front of you, and that's with anything in general notary work and in loan signing. The people in front of you should dictate your persona and how you are going to do your presentment of documents towards them. So anyway, so that is my way of presenting the notice of right to cancel. I hope you appreciated it. And I'm going to give you one more tip. So when I take the copies. Like I said, I take them and I split them up, and I give, let's say that there's 3. I give 1 to the title company, 1 of each to the title company, and then I give 2 to the borrowers. Like I'm leaving 2 with the borrowers. I take their packet that I'm going to leave with them, because like I said, we always prepare a packet for our signers to keep, of all the documents that they had, and I put them on top of their packet, okay? Because I also pulled forward their first payment, their amortization schedule, and the escrow disclosure, and I put all that on the top. And the reason for that is because I tend to think those are the 3 things they're going to want to actually see again. Everything else will be in kind of like either the printed order. God, I'm tired. It'll be in the printed order, or it'll be in like kind of a different order, but it's not usually in the order that I present it in, because while I'm going through the presentation, the presentment of my documents, I change stuff around while I'm talking. So it's not necessarily in that order, and I do communicate that to them. But those notices of right to cancel are the first things that they see. Okay, so now we've had a good lesson here, right? So let me know what you think about the way that I present the notice of right to cancel. What do you think you do better? What could you change? And what do you think you'll incorporate from the way that I do it? Is my way easier, or do you find it more difficult than what you do? All right, let me know. I appreciate it. And did you like this format? Do you want to have more videos like this? Or, you know, was this not helpful? Either way, I like the way that I do my notice of right to cancels. Like, I really find that they generally are working to ensure that I'm not leaving copies anywhere, and to ensure that everybody's getting the copies that they're supposed to be getting, and that they are signed properly. That is, you know, that's our job. All right, so this has been Nicole with A Good Notary. I appreciate you for watching. You guys have a great rest of your day. No matter what you do, do it well. Thanks.